I'm live now. Like a minute early. I'm not quite home yet. Been a busy day. A busy Sabbath. I'm just gonna wait for Turbo to jump on here. What you guys should do, hello everybody, is check in with, apparently Gary and I don't see things eye to eye anymore. Although he hasn't blocked me yet, but I suspect it's coming. That dude, good dude, knows his shit. You can get, yeah, I can get the shirts, but I can't get the pipe. We're starting right now as soon as Robbie comes on here, I think. I said 1 o'clock, but he might be thinking it's 1 o'clock his time. Anyway, I didn't text him beforehand because I was busy. It's been a busy morning. Anyway, my friend Gary McCready, HVAC know-it-all, it's got his knickers in a knot. Because apparently I'm a hater now. Because I'm being critical of his bullshit. Is the Turbo on here yet? No. Let me just reach out to Turbo. I'm driving down. Nothing critical to say of Gary the individual. I know for a fact that he used to work for the big commercial guys and broke out on his own a couple years ago. As I've said before, nothing but respect for those guys. But unfortunately for Gare, he's finding out for himself what it means to be self-employed, which is why he has to focus on his podcast bullshit and his master's relationship of selling products. So apparently now anything that's criticism is basically hate, racism, misogyny, bigotry. You criticize, then that's what you're doing. You're all those things, which is not true. And some nitwit on there who claimed Gary's going to do a podcast with little T, Terrence, in the near future, which you should check out. And they're going to talk about the role of influencers, which will be the exact opposite of this one. When Turb gets on here, where are you, fucking Robbie? Because we're going to be critical of the influencer movement. And that, I'm not critical of the individuals. Most of the individuals, if you talk to me one-on-one, we have a very engaging and I think, positive conversation. What's up, Ty? How's it going? It's just cars. Listen, Buddy even pointed it out. I can get the shirt, but I can't get the fucking pipe. I got all the swag in the world. I just can't get the material because I live in Alberta. The desert of wholesalers. Anyway, and they want to change. They want to change the word. They don't want to use influencer anymore, and they think a better word for it is educator, which is just like, how full of yourself do you need to be to consider yourself an educator? You know what an educator is? Someone that's gone to school for anywhere from 8 to 12 years, right? You go and get your little bachelor, and then you go and get your master's and PhD, and because you're selling product on the internet, you're now a educator. Man, you guys, you just keep digging those graves. I don't understand it. Your product placement, your content creators, just stick with that one. If influencer is too caustic for you now, then where's this dude? He probably thinks it's one his time. Hey Tap, how are you, pal? Uh, you know where the word influencer comes from, eh? I looked it up the other day. It comes from the word influenza. That's the origin of the word itself, is influenza, which, again, obviously has a negative context to it, right? You're infecting others. And I did an hour and a half with Manny from the construction life. He doesn't have to watch. Somebody text fucking Turbo. I don't think I can do it from here. I think I have to get out of the live to do that. Anyway, welcome to the gym. No, he doesn't have a watch. He's a BC boy. He may claim that he's from Ontario, but he's lived in BC long enough to mess everything up. Can I turn this around? Yeah, I can turn this around. Okay, Mr. Riddler, how are you here at the gym? Oh. There it is. It's finally warm enough now that I can open up the barn doors. Urban, how are you, my friend? Which I'm not going to do, but there it is, gym, podcast studio. This is where I go to just vent all my negative feelings about the influencers of the world. Yes, somebody sent Turbo a DM. I don't think I can do it while I'm in the live. Oh. Find out where that dude is. Anyway, it's interesting as I have sort of delved into this. And it's not a oh. Hold on, facing the wrong way. There's Turbo. Turbo showed up. Oh my gosh. That's right. Don't let Turbo fool you, man. He's an influencer extraordinaire with his fucking. Oh, there's my daughter-in-law. I have to be nice now. Mackenzie, aren't you supposed to be at church right now? Anyway, Mackenzie's probably just getting up. They had a party out at my house till like 2:00 in the morning. Yeah, yeah, it's an awesome rig. My little setup here. There's Kenneth. Kenneth and I had a few discussions. There it is. Okay, go live with Turbo. Dun 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 dun. Oh, it's coming. Everybody just relax.
Am I there?
Oh.
Hey.
You're there.
Okay, earpieces are in. I'm tapping on this thing like a goddamn woodpecker going, why won't it fucking join? And I'm like, technology. Hello, Bob. Are you cranky today?
I'm actually not that cranky ever, but everybody seems to think I am.
Well, you know what? You know why they think you're cranky? Me too. Because you just call people on their bullshit and you just say it. And people are, I don't want to say a softer generation, but you know that. Our opinions are very quite in line with that. People get upset when you fucking tell the truth with it's not raw honesty because people would say it's cruel. I'm like, it's just honesty without as much compassion as people are used to today, right? You don't soften it up as much, and people are like, oh, he's fucking angry. I'm like, no, he just rolls it out like it is. And you don't like that
No,
that unsoft delivery is, I think, the issue.
but isn't that? I mean, isn't that the moniker of the fucking trade?
You know what?
Like,
It it fucking better be, because it's a dog eat dog world, and I'm wearing milk bone underwear, and that's every fucking day, Bob. You
I
gotta that. Life's hard.
I I remember doing work with my dad, and I built like it was before the 17 bathroom fucking houses. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like
yeah.
two baths. You had a stack, blah blah blah, kitchen stack and a main stack, and I did the entire. My dad watched me do the entire thing, top to bottom.
Yep.
And I'm done. I'm looking at it. He walks over and fucking karate chops it with his leg. He's just like, pow. I'm like, bro. He's like, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong. That's wrong.
Yep.
That's wrong. And that's wrong. Do it again.
Mhm.
I'm like, you were here the whole time. He's
Yep.
like, yep.
He
And
watched
the
you
only
fall
way
on your
you'll
face.
learn is that
Yep.
you figure out how to do it right before you start.
Yep. My guys, I've had similar to you, where I've risen in power. You got 7 guys. For me, that was big. And Whistler, it's a fucking hard place to work. Rise. Then you're like, I hate working with like people. I can't control, and fuck it, get rid of everybody. Now I'm down to just me, and I'm gonna rise back up. I can feel that surge coming again, where similar to you with your boys, right? I want to come back. My divorce took me down a bit, so that kind of knocked me off my pedestal a bit. I want to come back, and I want to teach a few more people, I think, before I go. I'm similar to you. I'm 52. I've got a lot to give. I've got a lot to give back in the trade, and it's that same ideology that is going to make fucking tough trades guys. I got the guys that I've trained come back to me and say thank you, and that's testament to the teaching that you give. And it's not about being an asshole. It's about being fucking real. When you make a mistake, own it. And your dad watching you fail. Rael and Matt, on big jobs we would do, I'd be like, okay, I would intentionally do 3 things wrong, always on big jobs. I'd be like, I'd try to sneak some stuff in for the inspector, and I said to the boys at the last job, I'm like, okay, you guys know the deal. There's 3 things wrong with the water, and there's 3 things wrong with the drainage. I'm going to give you guys today to finish your work and tell me what the 6 violations are, or you're both fired. And I'm like, do I look like I'm fucking kidding? And I'm like, and inside, I am howling laughing, because I'm like, it's a full fucking, I wouldn't, but I'm like, I was so serious, they can't tell if I was kidding. And I'm like, you guys are fired at the end of the day if you don't get these fucking violations. And they would go through, and I'm like, and then they racked their brain. They were stressed out. I got there, the code book was out, drawings, and they were looking at shit. And I'm like, when we were done, I said this to them. I'm like, I just wanted to sweat you guys. They said we couldn't find anything. And I'm like, great, because you guys, there's nothing wrong. And I said, this is not a perfect install, because there is no perfect install. But
that's a shitty
from a
thing to
dick
do,
move,
bro.
and it cost me 16 hours of my labor, because they were fucking stressed. They know that I do this on jobs. And when I was done, I'm like, I couldn't have done it better myself. All the measurements, you guys, this is a good job. I don't kiss anybody's ass to do a good job. They should just do it intentionally. I pay you to do the work. Our minimum is here. Our code book is there. I get scared for the new generation, because I talk to the inspectors, and they're in their 70s. Like the guys, they're inspectors that I've known my entire career. The one guy is still in town. I saw him recently, and I'm like, holy fuck, you're still alive? He's like, what? Like what? I'm like, how old are you? 70 fucking 3, Bob, still inspecting. Because
That's because there's nobody.
they can't.
There's nobody there.
They can't find anybody. And
No.
I get touted with the little dangled carrot, right? Turbo, you should be an inspector. I'm like, do you really want me as to be your fucking inspector in town? Do you want me to be that guy? Because I'm like, I'd have a circle on I might as well wear a fucking bullet vest and be like, here, shoot here. Because you'd be the same way. You're like, what is this? Like, and the inspectors say the same thing. The quality of the trades that are getting taught coming up, you could see that fall away, the lack. Because
You think
the
it's
things that when the guy calls for an inspection, he says, right? You know it too. I'm ready to have the judgment of a higher level than me, which that's kind of bullshit, but a higher level than me. You're getting an inspector to come in and not be a critic on your work, but to ensure that you've done it to the minimum code, right? And
it's the minimum, right?
and,
It's
and
the minimum.
But the
The
guys that
bare
come in,
minimum.
and the guys, kindergarten plumbing, they fuck up the most basic stuff. You're like, if you guys can't get your clip spacing right, you can't do this and Like, if it's this bad at the start, what's the rest of it look like? And that was always my thing. And the inspectors are the inspectors in everyone that I talk to in the area, they're all saying the exact same thing. We're scared for the future because they see, you know, that 73-year-old, he's seen it go through the ages of code books and changes. But he's like, they can't even meet the minimums. And I'm like, are you guys not even trying? Like, it costs a lot of money to fuck it up and fix it. You know?
Do you think part of that is like, I think like people think I'm just being an asshole for the sake of being an asshole, which
No.
sometimes is true, but
You know what?
do you think it's part of what happened over COVID? Like both of my boys were in school when COVID happened, and then they tried to do here in Alberta anyway. They tried to do the YouTube fucking, you know what I mean? Like we'll just sort of do it over the internet, and they tried that for a couple of months. And in Alberta, they shut it down and just said, "Listen, we have no fucking idea what we're doing, so we're just gonna kill this until we get something better." And you know, so I've seen it in my own kids. You know, there's like a 3 or 4 year gap where certainly with, you know, my younger kids that were in, like, well, they were from, you know, 16 to 20 when that all went down. Which if I ask anybody on learning, that's what I mean. If I asked any dude, what did you do between 16 and 20? I did a lot of stupid shit that I learned a lot of important lessons. Like, you know, don't do that. And so I do think because everybody stayed at home for basically 4 years, because this will be the first year. I mean, I realize it ended 2.5 years into it, but they fucked everybody's mind up so much that it's taken another 2 years for people. Like the Stampede. You came to the Stampede. Last year, first year they opened it.
It's kind of back.
Whatever
but not
we called it the Summer of Freedom, but nobody could travel. The numbers were abysmal. Last year was not their best year, but better. Just because people are like, okay, we can go outside and breathe and not die. And so, but this year I think it's going to be fucking off the hook because so many people are ready to.
Bob, are you telling me if I want to see some Alberta beauties in cowboy boots and Daisy Dukes and the Doopy Doopy, when I went there, I was like, you know, I'd never been.
If you guys want to see boobs, come to the Calgary Stampede this year because they will be. Everywhere.
It was the year before COVID, I believe, that I came, right? For the Stampede. And I'd never been. And the other challenge with that is that I was recently divorced. I'm like, so I know. I tell you, it was
just like, Rob, be quiet for 1 second. So Rob shows up at my house. I take him out for dinner. We have a lovely chat, and then he's like, "Bob, see you later." I'm like, "Are you coming back tonight? Do we need to leave the doors open and stuff?" He's like, I'm like, "Whatever, bro." And sure enough, he didn't show up until like the next afternoon. I was like, "Dude, I had a really good time."
How was it? Well, you know, I just say I very much enjoyed the Calgary Stampede. I'm like,
he did spend the next night at my house to recover. He's like, we stayed up till 1 o'clock in the morning chatting with the kids and whatever. So we mellowed it out with some ridiculousness that I don't know anything about. And some family time.
You know, the baby goat that I held and all of that was all, you know, fantastic. And that 30-year-old beautiful girl. Anyway, it was what you think it was. It was fantastic. So through COVID, I don't know, man. You know, it's funny because I'd say I'm in the twilight of my career, right? I'm 52. I'll be that fucking guy that works till he's 100. You know that. You're probably the same way. It's the only, we'll work for, I don't know why. We're just going to work for shits and giggles. We sure as shit don't need to. I'll be giving back.
People ask me that. I work because I love what I do.
Yes.
I enjoy what I do. And now I'm at the stage in my career where I'm like, boys, you see that 3,000 pound whatever? You guys lift that. I'm gonna go fix the flapper in the toilet, and I'm gonna talk to the GM, and we're gonna plan the next job. Let me know if you guys if you kill yourself, because just be careful.
We're like the finisher at the end, right? You need the guy that comes in and actually, if we don't have to do the physical work anymore.
Yeah.
I do. You can tell. And can we still do the work? Of course we can. But I'm not 20 anymore, right? I got no problem crawling around like a Yahoo, this, that. But it's the younger generation's got to cut their teeth on it. You remember, Bob, when you were coming up, how derogatory, how belligerent, how it was almost like a violent workplace. It was like you fucked up and you got the back of your dad's hand. You got shit. If you talk, like, imagine we're talking 25 years. Imagine your dad. Take him out of that, like, not the worst episode he had, but he had probably a couple good ones. Bring him out of that and put him on a job site today.
No.
Have him talk to you like that in the same way. Your boys would be like, I thought he was going to kill you. What? And he was, kids get spanked today. It's like, we need a safe room. Come on. Like,
I didn't experience any physical abuse. There's no doubt. None. But the verbal abuse, just
I never got touched.
Rampant.
You're not wrong.
Yeah, if you're laying hands, I've said it before. There are enough laws out there. Like, there's nothing you can do as far as abuse is concerned that isn't already against the law.
Yep.
It's whether you have the balls, or the cojones or whatever it is to actually make the report and follow through with what the law is and deal with those repercussions. As unfortunately, as we know, there's some stigmas that get attached to those type of things. And are you going to change that? No, you're not.
You're not.
I don't think you can. People say that they want to, but like you say, I've been part of it for 40 years, and truly, nothing's really changed. It's just gone, I guess. Like, I don't even think it has. I've worked in enough job sites as, last week walking, and some dude's just getting reamed out by the framer. I'm like, whoa, that dude's in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. It seems like it's a softer world today to me. And I'm like, but we've talked about that before through the years. The grandparents saying how your great-granddad probably thought that your grandfather was the Spurge of the generation. He's like, look how soft he is. He uses a truck instead of horses. Oh, my God. And then your dad with you, like, I imagine it's the same every year.
It is.
Every season,
My dad never pressed a spitting in his entire life.
Can you imagine if he saw it? He'd be like,
well, he passed away in 2006. I had the stupid, whatever it is, the CT 400 when it came out.
76-pound bazooka.
And he watched me do it when a couple of big, like, we had, big commercials shut down, and 3-inch fittings that were $700 back then.
Yep.
And he thought I was crazy. He's like, dude, that's so much money. I'm like, you're right.
Click.
But watch this.
Yeah. What did he say after it pressed?
He was impressed, but he's like, yeah, But the reason that it never went anywhere, and you know it too, because you were pressing back then, is the fittings were so effing expensive, and so was the tool. And so they finally got their R&D paid for. So now they're like, okay, we can start giving it to the masses. Well, and now everybody and their fucking dog has a press gun.
I've been pressing since '99, probably ish the same time you've been doing it. I saw it in the rigid truck. Brian Levine was the guy's name, and I'm like, I'll take it. And I'm like, I took, because I'm up in Whistler, I took his demo tool and the fittings. And I'm like, I am fucking sold, man. I'm like, I'll take it all. And he's like, that you can't take my demo tool. And I'm like, you're gonna show me something. You're gonna explain it. And I'm like, I am fucking a blue collar. I'm a little simple. I'm like, this is a fucking, oh, you ready for it, Bob? This is a game changer. You're telling me, fuck, solderless copper. He explained the octagon, how it presses it. We did the inside. You could see it. This was in the back of his truck on the side of the road, just to the south of Whistler. And I'm like, I will take, and I'm like, he had a box of 3/4 inch fittings. I took it all.
But wait, Rob, this upcoming Tuesday, some meatball that's been in the trade for 2 years is going to be a game changer.
When I see these guys, these companies that just jumped on the ProPress wagon, I'm like, I've been doing it for fucking half of my life, 25 years, and
that's hilarious.
then guys, the complaints, right? I would see guys that would fail, and I'm like, Turbo, and I would get called from the wholesale because they know I'm a tool head and maybe I know what I'm doing a little bit. They would bring me in, and I'm like, I would take a bandsaw in the parking lot of the plumbing wholesale. And this is not to do with me. This is they're asking me. I'm like, I cut it with a bandsaw. I butterfly the pieces open. I'm like, he didn't ream the fitting. He cut it with a fucking janky hacksaw, and he rammed it in, and he scored the rubber.
Yeah.
Like, this is why it's leaking, because ProPress is shit. And I'm like, no, this is the user so fucking stupid. He needs to be punched in the head. Yeah. If it was your kid, you'd probably slap him. Like, what do you expect, guys?
I've only had a couple of like legitimate fails, which is no different than a copper. I mean, everybody remembers the sand holes in copper. Nobody talks about those anymore.
The pinholes, or you've seen it too, a pinhole in the toilet. You go back and you're like, why did it flood? Right? And the bowl is empty. And I'm like, I had 2 of those in my career. Sand hole casting in the bottom, and it drained the toilet out. Had to get past testing. Shit happens, right?
Yeah, out of 1,000 of presses.
Yes.
Like pressing has actually changed the game. The Mega G stuff, the gas line thing. Yep. I don't even know who would buy a threader anymore.
No.
Like you see that Milwaukee fucking $4,000 cordless threader. You're like, who in the hell is buying that?
It's like digital cameras come out and Kodak is coming out with the new latest greatest paper, and you're like, you got to get this new, and you're like, did you guys flip that you would press steel now? I would, and I these guys, when they were giving them away, I'm like, and I said to the rep, and I'm like, he's like, you should get one of these. I'm like, I have 5 threaders. I have a couple manuals, but I have 2 rigid 300s. Yep. I've got 2 141, 2 141 knuckleheads for doing bigger pipe, for doing some bigger heating shit that I've done. I got 3 roll groovers, the 26-ton V262. I've got every connection method possible, and I'm like, I look at the threaders, and I'm like, you know what? I should probably. This is the best part. You know, the threading I've done lately is for making fucking closet and hat hangers with the 1/2-inch pipe.
Oh yeah.
Because it's the latest bougie fucking steel threading. That's it.
The only thing I've threaded in the last year is a 3/8 fucking TNS extension on a sink because it broke.
Yep.
Unscrew it. I'm like, I'll just thread it right here. Zzz, throw it back in. Yes. Oh, sorry, it's 1/2 inch shorter. Yep. Perfect. No, that's the only thing I've threaded in forever.
Did an emergency call at a commercial restaurant. The fucking water everywhere. They broke the piece off. I take it. I tap it in. I walk it out with an easy out. Yeah. And I'm like, I had the threader in the truck. I got that REMS in place threader. And I'm like, I think I could just rethread this piece on. I take it in my truck, thread it on. They're back up and running in 1 hour, right? And the guys were like, this is fucking awesome. So they were like, thank you, Turbo. And I'm like, but it's the old school equipment. That's what it is. Otherwise, threading, it's a dead industry. It's like buying a filmed camera right now for Kodak paper. You're like, and Milwaukee comes out, like, look at this new picture taking device. The threader what a waste of money. The MX platform.
It'll be interesting.
Come on.
Oh yeah. Like you don't see that anymore, do you?
Everybody, the influencers. We'll rag on influencers a bit because this is a good segue into it. These guys are like, this is, and you know what? When I saw that MX thing, I'm like, you know as well as I do, you're on a job site and you're doing a core, right? You got a core drill and you hit some steel and you cut through the steel on the ribbon end, right? So you're carving away basically 4 inches of steel, and you go through the MX batteries. You'd be and they're $1,000.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
What are you doing?
Like you look like the world's biggest asshole.
And the guy that's paying you $200 an hour per guy. There's 2 guys on the job. You're like on $1,000 an hour right now, and you're standing looking at a fucking blinking light for a battery because either the guys didn't charge them, or it's hard on the tool, and God forbid you actually need to lean into it, and then it doesn't work. And that was my and people were like, because I just said it, I'm like, so the influencers saying this is the latest greatest. You got Murray from Kruger Construction in Saskatchewan, who's got 2 million followers, going, this is unbelievable. It's brand new. It's never been out of the package. And he'll post cursor it with, now I'm no plumber, but look at this amazing tool. He might as well have a manicure. Like, you're the same as me. hold your hands up, Bob. If they don't look like this, there's dirt under the
It is
nails.
Sunday.
You know
So
what I mean?
it's, well, maybe.
I'm still working, but
I had a shower
Did
today,
you?
so
this
yeah.
this is Dirty Hands Clean Money. Oh my God, the Troll Clothing Co. Come on, the
Listen,
influ-
I give them all the kudos in the world. They have sucked all those dudes. That dude that invented, whoever that guy
Yep.
is on a fucking island surrounded by naked women, and he's just like,
And I
I'll give you,
I hope
I
he's
give everybody 10% off. It only cost me $3 to make the shirt, but
Yep. Yeah.
we're gonna sell them for 65 or whatever. I don't even know how much they cost.
And then the best is you got some hipster
Oh
that is
yeah,
sponsoring this Dirty Hands Clean Money, and it's like I've said it for years too. There are people that work that have no fucking clue what Instagram is, and they're happy making money.
yeah,
Right? They do $1.5 million, $2 million a year. They run at a 45% profit margin, which is the goal, and they don't give a shit. We're in this world of that is the stupid. Why the fuck would somebody you take a running sawzall and dip it into a bucket of water and put it in a freezer, and that's your backyard test? You know what? I want that sawzall in my hand and I want it working for a year, and then that's my demo tool. And I'm like, this is a quality.
How many we have? All of us have those little mini hand saws now, whatever, from Milwaukee.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Not the big ones, the little ones.
Yep.
And Pete says mine quit working, and I'm like, you tell me what the guy says at the warranty place.
Yep.
He's like, he asked me if I got it wet. I'm like, and what did you say? Of course, probably. Well, like it's not wet now,
Bob,
but we're plumbers.
What's your profession? You mean to tell me?
What are you gonna say? No.
If it starts
no,
raining,
this is never. It's never been wet.
Throw the tools away if it's raining. What I love the first thing out of the wholesale's mouth. Well, you got it wet. I'm like,
oh my gosh.
That Makita corded tool, you're fucking cutting. What? There's water everywhere. You're like, how does the tool still work? And then the Princess Company, they're like, oh,
yeah.
Did you? Did you get it wet? I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yes, I got it wet.
I was cutting into a 4-inch water main, of course. Oh, come on, man. Oh, I love it. The influencer game is a good racket. And I mean, I've been yapping about Instagram, the influencers for many years. When I
it's not a new
platform.
It's not a new thing.
No, it's an evolutionary thing, right? Now you got like princess glove models.
But you know it, like I mean, we could. I don't suggest we do.
By pace.
But you could name like the top 5 influencers before COVID. Could you name them?
Yep.
What are they doing now? They're not influencing anymore. They're like, yeah, everyone that I've talked to, legitimately, except for the dude, like the guys that aren't actually tradesmen because they can't. That's their only bread and butter. Take Kruger, take that Toolaholic guy.
Yeah.
And fucking whatever.
Because once you get their accreditation, their certification, what do you actually do? Then you find out, like the Toolaholic guy was the biggest sham, smoke and mirrors. I at the end of it, we argue back and forth. You're this, you're a cock. I was like, oh my God, it went on and on and on. And I'm like, Kiefer, why are you so? And I saw him at World of Concrete, and it was like, the little foamy mic thing with the light and a camera crew and the little gimbal up. Yeah. There was probably a $15,000 fucking camera. They run by and he's like a princess running down the road. And I'm like, oh my God, that's that Toolaholic guy. Like, he had 100,000 followers. And I was gobsmacked. I was like, oh my God. Then I found out Bob, he basically has a forklift driver's license. He lives in his mom's house. And I'm like, once you started, it's like the little man, the Wizard of Oz, that dude behind the fucking curtain. I'm like, so he's masquerading. What pissed me off with that was, then it brought to light, okay, what is shadow banning? What's reporting somebody? What's trying to get someone to reduce their viewership? And what are we here on the platform for? These guys were doing it to get free tools, ego fluff, notoriety, with zero experience.
But you know how they come into it though. The only way you can be an influencer is to position yourself as a tradesperson first. And that's what it is. And you look at everybody's name.
Falsify the numbers.
They're plumbing something. They're
Yeah.
HVAC something. They're this something. Like nobody comes out and says tool influencer.
Yeah.
I'm a tool whore because like nobody's gonna watch that. So you don't have the credentials. And somebody what did he just say? Nobody's saying anything. You guys are welcome to say whatever you want.
You guys can. It's an open platform. Do you see the government?
You're saying
it's open mic.
The government can't find me here, and Rob's too far remote. Nobody's finding him either.
Oh, good luck.
Anyway,
but I'm not saying they won't.
So you have to, in order for the game to work, you have to postulate as a accredited trade, or your message is meaningless. And the problem that I have is most of these guys aren't that. They're either apprentices or they're junior journeymen that should be focusing on learning the craft before they start hawking fucking tools.
Well, the Center Therm event was an interesting one for me, right? So you got guys that whipped down to it, and it was, I heard the uproar on it, and I'm like, I looked at it a little bit, and I'm like, I was pretty busy at the time. I'm like, oh God, the game is still going.
It was -50 here.
Yeah,
when the Central Therm event went on, so
why aren't you there?
Why aren't I there?
Because
I'm making $250,000 this month, you fuck.
Yes. I am the fucking dirty hands, clean money guy. I'm like, it's called work. You should fucking try it. I don't know how they afford to go on the events, Bob. How do you take the? I'm running a company. I don't know. I'm able to walk away a bit more, but how do you afford at that age? Because these guys are not. You're not making $50,000 to attend an event. It's air flight, time off work. The ripple effect of that is this: if I take the time off today, I don't hurt today. I hurt in 2 months when I need that money that I took time away from.
I don't care what I've done the numbers in my own head, so whatever. Yeah. But if you go for the full 3 days, it costs you $15K. Now that might not be $15K out of your wallet, but that's $15K out of your wallet and lost wages and opportunities. That's the bottom line there.
It's a double because you take a week, you take 4 days off. Well, not only you lost the 4 days, you're somewhere else. You double it because you could have made that money. Yeah, so you not only
$15,000.
Yeah, it's at least. So I
said to you, here, Robbie, here's $15K. Yes. Wear my fucking hat.
Yeah,
you'd be like,
I will fuck Baker plug. Get this. This would fly into the forest somewhere.
But they don't see it that way because they're like, well, no, they paid for my flight. Okay. Like I do know from my own experience, I have been offered, room and board and the flight to go somewhere. So, dude, it won't cost you anything. I'm like, no, but it does. Because in my world, my little world of influence, $400 an hour minimum. Like I'll walk into people's establishments and they'll say, why are you here? Why aren't the boys here?
Yes.
You're the expensive one. I'm like, I'm the expensive one because you've got a serious problem here. And this is how we're going to figure it out. And so I go for a 10-hour day trade show. It's $4,000 out of my, I'm not making because I'm, and I did talk to a couple of guys that have hundreds of thousands of followers that went to WET and AHR. And they told me that they were being paid $5K for the 3 days. And he was like, that's not bad. I'm like, yeah, but dude, what are you walking away from?
Yeah.
And I get it. If you're an employee and you're only making $25 an hour, then you're walking away from $250 a day, I guess. You want to look at it that way? Okay. So it only costs you $700, but your next check is $700 light. You're gonna wonder, was it really worth the T-shirt and the fucking hat that I got and the stress ball that I picked up at Odie?
No.
It's not.
Now, I will say this about the trade shows, right? Like I've been to the World of Concrete. I had a specific purpose for going down, and I went to AHR again, specific purpose for going down. I wanted to see a few things, and you could research most of this online. It was a lot of fun going to the event, but it was an event with purpose. And then you go once, and I got to meet some guys that I thought were pretty cool. Seeing the latest and greatest from some of the companies. You walk into the whole DeWalt booth at AHR, and you're like, holy, yeah, you get a free DeWalt shirt. You get scrap all that.
And somebody said the Dankin stress ball.
Yes, yeah.
We got that.
Yes.
Yeah. Is it worth it? Was it worth the stress ball?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Like the AHR was the biggest event I'd ever been to. I'd been to CMPX, and what I learned from going to the events, I went to like one a year, and they'd be in Vancouver, and of course the tool reps want you to come out. They'd like you to sign autographs. Bob, you probably had it. I'm somewhere, and then what happens is, then somebody takes a picture of you at an event, and you're like, you want to get a picture with me? What am I, a movie star? That's ridiculous, right? So they are a lot of fun. Gordbot's talking about it. I packaged in a holiday around it in Toronto when I went to CMPX. And Gordbot's fine. I don't know. Everybody wants this personal drama bullshit. I have no issue with Gord. We had a couple problems. We fucking sorted it out. A lot of shit was said and done, and I'm like, that's all.
Gordbot's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
As you know.
Yeah. He's
I'll
on here.
I'll be talking with him I'll be talking to him on Saturday.
Well, you got
but the interesting thing, and I'm not claiming that it's the reason for it, but when I first started this whole trade show shit, that's when I went crazy, is on the trade show stuff.
Yeah.
Like, no, it's because we want to see the tools, and because of the seminars, and because of the networking. I'm going to meet with the the CEO of Watts. I'm like, and what the fuck is that going to do for you? Like, you're going to phone the CEO at Watts at 3:00 in the morning and say, I need a 3-inch backflow fucking check valve? He's going to be like, I got people for that. Yeah. And now, notice that they're like, yeah, it's a frat party. I'm like, okay, finally admit it. Tell me what it is. So be what it is. If it's a frat party, then it's a frat party. I have no issue. Just don't tell me it's something he wants it to be, or it's something it's not.
It turns into it's like a high school reunion in a way. Now, you know what it is? It is. Some of the like the long-term relationships I've got as a result of these things. I met the president of Oopnor. That's why I shit you not. This is the fucking funniest stuff. So I met the president of Oopnor at CMPX in Toronto. And I walk into the booth, and me and Pepe's having his own issues. Well, we're not going to really bring him into this. He's looking like this. Anyway, he was so fun. He got steamrolled by his old lady. So we go to CMPX. I go into the booth. Adam Gordon was there. We were doing jackass stuff. We were threading. We were running around the fucking place, having a good time. We were just being jackasses. I met the president of Oopnor there. We go into his booth. He lends me a PEX expander. He thinks I'm a riot. We become friends. He's an older gentleman, very respected in the business world. Like, look at what he does. He's the president of Oopnor. We have personal chats back and forth. He's like, if you're ever here, give me a call. We go out for coffee, go out for dinner, right? I'm like, you do build relationships. I love that. The frat party thing, it's at a good time. Yeah, it is. World of Concrete, Scream. You get to see some of your people that you know, that you've talked to for years, that you've never got to connect with. But other than that,
no issue with that.
I don't buy fucking $10 million in product a year. So I'm not your guy.
But that relationship that you created with the president of Upador, does that, like, more than, I'll give you one, but has that at any time benefited your business more than twice?
No. It's a personal connection. Because of a Is there something that's helped me in the trade world? At the CMPX shows, they're not... Come on, man. Every fucking boiler company's like, we got a new burner. We got a new heat exchanger. I'm like, guys, it's a cold water goes in, hot water comes out.
We don't use aluminum anymore. It's stainless steel. I'm like, yeah, but it's the same shit. He's like, yeah.
Because you had so many fucking failures with that clamp-on heat exchanger that you fucking almost went bankrupt. And guess who's holding the bag? I am, because I'm the guy.
Who's the one that's getting yelled at by the customers? Me. I installed
fuck?
Installed 35. When Bosch was the first one that came out with those instantaneous ones.
Yep.
And they were the copper coils.
Yep.
I installed 35 of those in all of my restaurants and just about lost the entire contract 8 months later because they were all shit. I had to pull them all out and replace them with conventional tanks on my dime, risk losing $250,000 a year contract.
But nobody sees that. And the company.
And when they come back to me and say, hey, sorry about that, we're better now, I'm like,
for you. No, and Renai was a bad one for me where I had problems.
Renai was terrible.
Renai was a bad one. And so then the rep is like, the new Renai product, Turbo, have you seen this? I'm like, you guys never supported me when I needed you, and I was at risk of losing, getting sued, $250,000. You know how it goes. You guys, they don't back you. And then they want you to buy the newest, latest, greatest after you fix your shit. Come on, man. I can't afford that. So
I literally talked to she's very nice. It's the Western, I think she's Western Canada. I won't say her name, but she's a very nice gal. We've had lots, and she's like, Bob, how do we get you to buy our product? I'm like, you never will.
Yeah, I know.
I will never buy it because you guys burned me. Yeah, but we're better. I'm like, I know, but you guys cost me $100,000.
It's that little fucking tick in your neck you get, or your eye twitches, and they're like, because it's like us bitching about tools that fail, where they're like, the influencer comes out and he's like, this is the best tool made. They don't even know how to use it. They turn it on for 2 seconds, and you're like, then you actually get it. You need the job. You need the tool. And you're the same as me. The tool breaks. It doesn't work. So then you have to go get the rigid tool to back it up, to come in and wrap the day up. And you're like, why didn't I that's a lighter tool. It's supposed to work better, easier. And I'm like, we go back to the tried, tested, true that gets the fucking job done every time. There's some tools where you're like, I'm going to bring in the heavy, my back hurts picking it up, but it wraps it up. And the cheaper, softer, easier way sometimes doesn't work.
There's no greater pain in the world than looking like an asshole on a job site. Like, you show up there, like, if you want to know what my weakness is, that is it. I show up as a guy that knows what the fuck he's doing, has a reputation that knows what the fuck he's doing, has the cachet to back up what he's doing. And if when I threw that stupid thing in the fucking trash, it's because I'm sitting on my hands and knees. I'm looking like I'm fucking a football because this thing twisted up. I'm like, and the fucking dishwasher says to me,
I don't think
you know how to use that thing? I'm like, oh my fuck!
Do you know what you're doing?
Wrap it all up and fucking through it. And I think I phoned Pete. I'm like, dude, you got 20 minutes to get down here and give me the rigid.
Yeah.
So I can clear this tray. I can't even go back into the restaurant because the dishwasher is sassing me.
Yes.
And
the worst part is, it's not.
And there's nothing I can say.
It's not that he's wrong. You've got a tool
that
makes you look bad. I think we threw those away both about the same week. About the same week we tossed them. I'm like, you know what? And it was, what were they, $1,100? It was a lot of money. And I got excited.
I paid $1,100 for that thing.
On your back, you're like, oh my God, I can just pull the trigger, click, 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 cordless. Oh, this thing's, if it worked like they said it was supposed to, you'd be like, this thing's a game changer. It's so easy.
I felt like a woman with a new purse. I'm like, this is awesome. It's kind of cute. I can fit up the man way. Like, you can climb it up on the.
Oh my God! The little foot pedal. I literally.
I was.
Oh yeah, I flipped out. Yep. And then you roll out with like a 1,600. You're like, the cable's this big. You're like, now you're pissed off, so you overcompensate. And you're like, I'm gonna bore through the side of a 4-inch pipe with this tool. Come on, fuck.
I was so mad. It was from I'm frustrated with this to I'm gonna kill people now because the dishwasher is sassing me. You know what you're doing with that?
And you got nothing. And some guy that
I have nothing to say. I'm like, no, it doesn't look like it. It looks like I'm trying to fuck this thing.
You're right.
Is what it looks like.
You're right. Fuck you. And you want to punch him in the you just leave. And then you have to go get the secondary tool, and you own 10 of them. And you're like, this is a new bougie tool. I got influenced, and I bought the red shiny thing. And you're like, that's the worst part.
That's where my opinion of the influencers went into the trash can. Because some dude's like, this is awesome. This is this. This is it. I go out and buy it. And as you probably did, I fixed it 18 times. And I finally pulled it all apart. Fucking
What's wrong
and
with
riveted it, and also it would hold. I'm like, I got this. And I was actually excited to go do the call. I'm like, I got this thing fixed. The call came in. I know exactly what's wrong with it. I'm going to start feeding it in. I get 10 feet in, and all of a sudden you hear that miserable sound. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me.
And the dishwasher who makes a quarter of your wage goes to you.
He makes a tenth of my wage. A tenth of my wage. He's like, okay, over there, you know what you're doing. Fuck my life.
I love it. I love it, man.
That was a bad day.
I mean, there's a couple tools like that, and in reality, I guess there hasn't been too many. I've had battery failures, and I'm like, and just like the MX platform, you don't see anybody with that MX core drill. Like it's this. Big
Where is it?
Kapoof.
Where is it?
It's a big kapoof at the start.
You guys watch this week. I'm gonna post a story because it's at my wholesaler, covered in dust. You can buy the whole fucking thing for $700.
Yep, they'll give it to you. They're like, would you like the spare battery? I'm like, if you got 6 of those and you made them any better, can you imagine? Like I got a DeWalt 9 amp hour battery, one of the newest latest grades. That's date stamp on the battery is 2023. I'm having problems with the DeWalt thing. One battery, and I'm like, that's $350 for one battery. The MX is $1,000, and your staff are going to put it away cold, not charged, and it's going to fuck the battery. And then you're like, now what do you do? So who pays for that $1,000 battery? And you're sitting there watching a blinking light, and everybody's done it, and I lose my shit. I just can't. I have an aneurysm thinking about it, and I'm like, I've begged for these companies to make me an adapter to plug into the fucking wall. That core drill, the battery runs on. Like,
I believe they don't have that. I mean, it comes with their big lights. Yes. I have lights downstairs.
Yes.
That I don't use batteries for because I just plug in the fucking extension cord. If you get that big spot, those big spotlights that they have, or the radius light, the big pod-looking thing.
You can daisy.
I don't even use batteries.
No,
because they
draw
suck it down
battery.
And
I got the 12 amp hour holy fuck batteries, and you're like, this is a $400 battery. This tool should run for a month on this because compared to the 6 amp hour, it's 12, so it's twice as long. No, it's not. It's not. I can't get double the runtime. And then our labor rate. So do you think for the quick jobs, in, out, no problem. Otherwise, you got to have a few $1,000s in batteries ready to do this work. And the perpetual replacement of it is what drives me crazy, right? Like you see guys commenting. One guy's like, if you use your stuff hard, the battery platform does not work. Buy the corded tool. It's just some things it's not there yet. It's not.
As far as I'm concerned, if the weather's nice and you're doing 2 holes, then get the fucking use a battery platform. But if you're core on the floor and you've got 62 fucking holes to drill, stay the fuck away. No, you got to go with the corded stuff.
But you're the same way. Time is money. That's where ProPress really accelerated. You probably have done it too. You're soldering away. You got 80 joints in a mech room. It's all prepped up. It's clean like a fucking hospital. You're a surgeon. It flows great. You're like, oh my God, the solder is just moving good for me. You do the whole thing. You turn the water on and you're like, was I fucking drunk? There's water coming out of every joint. And you're like, I cleaned it perfect. I did all the stuff, followed it. And it's a sprinkler show. ProPress?
We did the...
Click, 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 done. You walk away. Like, I got over the self-respect pretty quick, because with ProPress you're like, click, done. You're like, I think it's just easy.
We used to, we would do the big ones, and I had a couple of journeymen that worked for me, and we would do the big boiler rooms, and it was all solder back then. And I'd be like, dude, if you have a 20% failure rate, you're fucking awesome.
Yes.
So he would count. He'd be like, dude, there's 200. I only had 15 leaks. I'm like, high five, bro. And the problem with some of those leaks, as you know, they take a month and a half to show up. They're just the little,
Yep.
they're just the
Yep,
little
bees,
condensate
drip.
weepers
And then
that turn green. Like, oh,
have you done this? Have you done this one? Have you done this one, Bob? And I'm like, I've done it. And an old journeyman showed it to me years ago. Little pinhole leak where you're like, you could see the little dab of solder, one drop of water, and you're like, are you fucking for real? And he goes, Turbo, I'll show you a trick. And I'm like, what do you got? He goes, you take a chisel, a cold chisel, like a mason chisel.
You punch a hole in it. Yeah.
Put a dab of solder on the end of it. He goes, just a little bee's dick. And he goes like this. He goes, watch this. He goes, whack. And he goes, he buffs it all off. He goes, it rams that in there. He goes, you don't have to heat up nothing. And it's like the little, and I'm like, fuck you if it works. Come back a month later.
It does work.
Nothing. And I'm like, I saw a guy, Pete Remkwich was his guy's name. He's a local plumber and he's still here. I saw him one day. He had a leak on ABS. And he's like, we didn't have socket reamers. They weren't invented yet. So he goes, we're going to putty a joint. And I'm like, we're going to what? And he goes, watch this. Yeah. And he takes his sawzall and he goes, cut. He makes a pile of shavings. He takes the glue pot. He pours it in. He goes and puts a pair of latex gloves on and he mixes up this black slurry. And he goes, the inspector is never going to see it. And he takes up the gooped ABS with the glue and he pours it on top and he packs it in. And he goes, now test it. He goes, give it a little bit because there's so much glue. But he goes, we're making an ABS paste and we're going to do it from the outside. It looked like a squirrel puked up something onto the fitting. Did it work? It did. But he goes,
it absolutely works, man.
He goes, it
myself.
Won't. And I'm like, okay, so I've done that a few times where I'm like, no, but you know what? Yeah, I don't know. Where do you figure?
That's the joy.
Good questions too, Bob. Right? Where do you figure you're going in the next? How old are you?
54.
54. So how long do you figure you're actually going to work for? What do you figure in the next a decade? Like you don't have to work now. I mean, you got the boys doing the shit. I get that. But what do you figure you'll stay around and work for? A decade? 64, 65?
Listen, man, I don't think I'm going anywhere. I've said it before. Like, I love my life. Yeah. I love where I live. The fact that I get to work with. You know what? I could honestly say I'm probably semi-retired now.
Yes.
Like I don't have to. I don't have to get up at 5 a.m. anymore, and I don't have to work till 8 o'clock at night anymore, like I used to. So if I wanted to take a day, the only time that is fucking crazy is when it's minus 30. Like when it hits minus 30,
when shit goes down.
Everything is just going crazy. There's no stopping that. But over the summer, the legitimate answer is I could tell the boys, and I do, I'm taking Friday off, and next Tuesday I'm not in town, and whatever, I could take any amount of time off I wanted. The boys are competent enough now that they can handle just about anything. Well, and they're probably
now you get a phone call per se if they're unsure, and that's I think where the younger guys are. They just they got it. They just don't have the confidence to go, I fucking got it. Like I'm gonna call Dad up. Dad. What do you think?
That's where Pete is. That's where Pete and Pete and Isaiah are both. Hey, this is what I'm.
Yep.
Isaiah's more like, this is what I'm gonna do. You think that'll work? I'm like, yeah, that's a good idea. Just do this instead.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, that's a perfect idea. Pete's more like, what should I do? Here's my problem.
Because he still
has I have to give him
in front of him. Yeah.
I'm like, whittle it down to this or this, and let me know how it goes. So Pete's not as confident in offering the solution, but he's to the point where he understands what the problem is.
Yep.
And he's like, well, I have, like you just said, I have 12 options to fix this. I'm like, no, you only have 2. And I would suggest because you're dealing with this material or at this site, you use this option here. And it usually goes really well.
Word cheapest option, because people always say, when you say cheap, it implies shoddy. I try to say to any staff I've trained, I'm like, our responsibility, there's 50 ways to do this job. 4 of those ways are correct. One of those is by far the most cost efficient, and here's why. Instead of using a 90, you use a 45, you take off 3. It's little things like that. Those subtleties is where you get into when you get older. For me, I'm like, I look at the job now and I'm like, this is the least expensive way to do it. Not cheap, because fucking plumbing is not inexpensive. It is. I'm like,
and it's
oh Jesus.
only going to get more. Like there's
Yep.
like if you watch the price of copper,
Yep.
it's like the stock market these
Yep.
days. Like it's
Yep.
just going through the roof.
Yep.
So just to answer that question fully, I guess I probably, when I hit 60, I'll probably, honestly, the boys, if I do my little tax structure that I've got set up now, they'll
Yep.
be once I implement that, then I have to fully remove myself financially and legally from the business.
Yep.
In order for the tax incentives to kick in, you know what I mean? And that'll probably happen when I'm 60, 62, somewhere in there. And then I might go work for a wholesaler, or I don't know what. Go work for a fucking tool manufacturer and go,
oh Jesus.
zippity doo.
Oh my God, you'll be the Reed Rothenberger rep. Oh God. I figure I'll probably go. I think I'll probably go to teaching. In all honesty, I think I'd probably like to do something like that. I don't know if I'd get pissed off the students, but to give back to the trade for me, like I enjoy teaching the trades guys. I enjoy the trade shows. I enjoy the younger guys coming up, the questions. I've had, probably same as you, some absolutely phenomenal discussions over the years on Instagram, teaching guys that they're worth more, telling guys to quit their companies. I'm like, you're getting used. Go to your boss. You're in a leverage position. Tell them this. I've mentored guys. I've had guys come back to me and say, thank you so much. They don't value themselves. They need someone like us to say, you're worth more. You are. Your boss is being, you know what? Your boss, he'll get rid of me. The fuck he will. Your boss values you more than you think. And it's about being fair. I want the guys to come up in the trade. So I think teaching in my future. I don't think I'll ever walk away from it.
The only challenge I have with teaching is I know teachers here that work at SAIT and NATE.
Yep.
And the bureaucracy that they have to deal with from from the education side, like it's run by people that aren't blue collar.
Yeah. Oh, I know.
So it's all about like I know a dude that has to take sensitivity training every 3 months because he says something that he shouldn't.
Well, that'd be.
I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm not. That's what I mean. And so if you want to keep your job, then you have to go to sensitivity. You know what I mean? Like it becomes a bit of a dog and pony show because I don't know how else to say it. They're not run by blue collar people. They're run by academics that say this is how we handle these problems in the education world. And I'm like, no, that's not how we handle this in the real world. Yeah, that's right. But you can't. Guys have said to me, you can't say that. You can't say there's the academic world and the real world. And everybody knows that there's a difference between the two, but you can't say that because it slags the academic world as
it's like it's like women and men. We don't see eye to eye because we are not the same. You can try to celebrate your differences. And in the trades world, you get an academic, push them out the door. There's what is it? PVC, Pacific Vocational College here, and they do not have a lab. They don't have a place where you can go plumb a house, a project room. It's only bookwork, right? So I think you're missing a component if you don't have the trade side of it, because you need to have that guy running.
You absolutely are.
You do.
I mean, I did the whole.
Plumbing. It only gets you so far. The physical.
You need to. You know the difference, and I said that to the boys when the COVID thing happened, and I've said it elsewhere. Like there are moments when you know something's wrong by the way it sounds, by the way it smells, you can put your hand on a pipe and be like, oh, something's happening, and you don't learn that from flipping a book.
No,
like you got to be in the environment to pull that off.
The beauty of this trade is this. The glove models and all that bullshit that's gone on all through all the ages. You can't fake experience, Bob. You can fucking want it. No. You see a guy, he looks like a monkey fucking a football with a drill because he doesn't know how to use it. And you're like, you're embarrassed for somebody. Look at Travis Collins is a classic. He's using a drilling a fucking 2 9/16 bit a couple years ago. He's going in and I'm like, ooh, that's pretty bold with no side handle. And you're like me, I'm a strong fucking guy. I put a handle on something where I'm like, if this twists, it's going to break my wrist. I'll probably be able to hold on to it, but I brace up like the old whole hogs. You probably had one. You pull the trigger on that.
I've got him down there, man.
And sidebar, you brace that up because when that thing bites, it throws you off the ladder. Travis Collins, I think he broke his wrist. He like kadoosh and it twisted. I'm like, that irresponsibility bullshit right there is what just it. I thought he was kind of funny, and then I'm like, little theatrical, and he's kind of quirky, and then I'm like, you're the reason that guy's going to be fucking taken out of the trade early because he breaks his arm and he spiral fractures himself because he sees somebody holding on to something like that, using it unintentionally. You want to be? I've done jokes with the big grinder wheel, and I'm like, don't try this at home, and I'm like, it's called an obvious joke. Like, guys, come on.
I had an apprentice once. We were drilling through actual wood joists and had the bit, and it was a newer whole hog, and he didn't have it. Just had the one that had the claw on the top and not the bar.
Yep.
Whatever that thing was. I'm like, dude, you should put the bar. And then he was probably 28. He was a very fit dude. Yep. He was like a CrossFitter guy, and that's not slagging on CrossFitters. Yeah. But he was like, he had muscles. He's like, he looks at me, he's like, Bob. I'm like,
need that.
All right, dude. And it catches that knot, and it hit him in the face 4 times before he let go. He's like, bam, 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 bam. Before he let go. He's bleeding from his lip and his nose. And I'm falling over laughing. He's like, that's crazy powerful. I'm like, yeah, bro. You got to put the fucking brace in that thing.
Unfortunately, you look at it in a way and you're like, it's like watching your children fall on a bike. You got to let him.
He will never do that again. Never.
Once. My guy, Matt, he was up. Same thing. It was a Travis Collins moment. He goes up and rail and saw him do it. And he gets up in there and he comes down and he's bleeding. Oh, he got nailed. Kabam. He literally had a fucking concussion. And he had to go home. And I'm like, at rails.
I'm sure my guy had a concussion too. He just wouldn't admit it because he's like, no, I'm fine. I'm like,
And Rael, because he learned from me, he was that kind of prick like I am. And then Rael's like this, did you want the handle? After he's hurt himself. And Rael's like, why would you not do that? Oh my God. Anyway, the shit that you see in the trades, come on.
Listen, the trades.
The trade people, man. So what do we got? I had a couple questions. I said to people, I'm like, what would you like us to talk about, but some of the controversial lightning rods, because people love drama. Women in the trade.
No, they don't. They tell me all day long they don't love the drama at all. They tell me all the time.
They eat it like a fucking sandwich, Bob. They want to see people in shit. Like they want to see, was he fighting? He's so angry. Women in the trades. I said this the other day on my.
Talk about the women.
Well, it's a good.
Want to talk about women?
It's so. How come you don't see a 70-year-old female plumber carrying a drain machine into a building? Oh, I can tell you why. Because there fucking aren't any. Like I want to see like Twig. I want to see Twig when she's 60. Where's she working? And it's a challenge. And a pipe wench is on here. And I'd be curious to know, what are her body ailments? She is, how old is she? Leslie is, she's under 40.
That's not a bad.
So let's go with Leslie. And you can see her on. And I would say the same. We just discussed that. Leslie, how long do you figure you can work in the trade for? Do you figure you can put in a full 30-year, 40-year career? 38. So from her end, do you think she's going to feel like right now where she is, body ailments, and you get sore knees and all that, what do you figure her career would be in plumbing? Crawling around and doing the same shit we're doing. Can she make it to 60? How does her body feel? Like,
listen,
like that.
I don't think,
how is she?
To be fair, I don't think very many people make it to 60, right?
Yeah.
Anybody, man, women, I don't care who you are. Like you said, the trade eats people. Man, women, whatever, right? Like the fact that we talked about technology has made the trade more accessible to a wider range of people.
Yes.
Right. It certainly allowed for women to be part of it. It's certainly allowed for those people that aren't as physical as it, I mean, the trade used to be you had to carry around 15-foot lengths of cast iron pipe.
Fuck, it was
and
guys were like big, like my father's steel worker, like, and he worked. My grandfather, same thing. All of my family, the guys, they all worked into their 70s, and like, I'm like, Leslie's like, I don't want to be on the tool in 15 years. She's 38, so I'm 52. You're 54. So that means that Leslie, where we are right now, she's like, fuck it, I'm done. For me right now, I'm having the time of my life in the trade. I get to pick my jobs. Right?
Yeah.
Some are some are awesome. The crazy physical ones, I'm like, I hire laborers for that shit now. I can still swing shovel and do my thing, but I'm like, I'm going to be working for a long time, I figure. Somebody like
I
Twig,
I do think,
so.
I mean, and what does it mean to be in the trade? Like All-Star Plumbing, I think his name's Matt. We've had a few conversations offline. Anyway, the goal isn't to be on the tools at 60. I don't think it is.
It should be your
and I do think
get you there.
Yeah, I do think that the opportunities for trades, men and women, are only going to continue to grow exponentially in a variety of teaching fields, selling fields, training fields. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to pull out the fucking 24 inches every day to prove that
we're not slinging 3-inch steel at 60 years old, right?
Yeah. So I do think that's a good thing. And it's no. I guess the point is the trade's no longer a fucking powerlifting contest anymore. You know what I mean? Like it used to be.
Running plastic in buildings now, it's all you see, right? Like, look at the plastic world we're in now, right? Like poly water lines. You were in the industry when it was only copper. You had no choice.
That's all I did.
You had
all we did.
Water pipe option, and remember drilling a hole in the outside of the house so you could get the long runs in. Where you're like, how am I going to get this in? You're like, we'll just pop a hole outside and run it through, straight. And my one guy I worked for, all he used was soft copper because he was a little sloppy, and he's like, I just need to bend it over, and that's what he would do.
Yeah,
no,
it's true.
Now.
So there's no doubt those plastics have changed the game. And as you know, I mean, the first one that came out was Poly B, which was, let's not forget, was approved by every single engineering, every rubber stamp, by every fucking certification there was, and is no longer anywhere because it's failed all the tests. It's a blemish
on the trade, and guys are like, oh my God, you have the old gray pipe. It's a horror show. It's banned. It's outlawed. I'm like, hey, guess what, guys? The plumbing police aren't coming and shackling you down. Like, they make it's illegal. Oh, fuck off.
I'm interested to see, this is a totally different direction, but the healing effects of copper.
Yep.
Like, I put copper fittings in my waters, like for my chickens and for my goats.
Yep.
And it kills all the algae.
Yeah.
Like, there's not. If I don't put those things in there, it turns into like just a disgusting, foamy, scummy pond. I put a couple of copper fittings in there, and it's crystal clear. So I wonder, this is totally like whatever. I have no basis and no merit for what I'm about to say, other than so many things have come to light that I do wonder what the effects of plastics are on our water supply.
Well, microplastics from manufacturing. What are you
drinking?
We don't know. It's perfectly safe. I'm like, well, actually, in reality, like, fuck. As long as you don't use lead and the biofilm inside covers that partially anyway. Copper's a better way, but it's so fucking expensive now. You're like, I don't think so.
It's a
plastic.
I don't know. I don't know.
Like, I've not been to a copper rough-in in 20 years. Plastic came out, it was like a couple guys.
We did a house just over here like 6 or 7 years ago, and the guy he's like, I want the whole place in copper. I'm like, it's going to cost you 3 times.
Holy. Yeah.
He goes, but I don't trust the plastic because I just came from a house that I did in Poly B.
Yep.
And I want it all air tested, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, all right. And we did the whole place in copper. It was fun because we fucking soldered everything. We didn't use press because press has literally come on the market in like the last 5 years. where it's now affordable to the normal dude.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're
the fittings.
almost this. The fittings are almost this. Well, they're not. They used to be. Like it used to be, you could buy a half-inch copper 90 for like 99 for $1 or whatever they are.
Yep.
And the press ones were like $1.75. Yep. I'm like, oh, that's worth it.
Yep.
But now, with everything that's going on these days, I think that gap's wider. There's probably people on here that would know me better than I do.
When I started, I was doing big commercial jobs, and it was 2-inch copper fittings and down, and a 2-inch 90 was $80 to start.
Yeah.
Forever ago. And the solder fitting was $12. And guys were like, this is fucking ridiculous. And with the CT400, I would fit the whole thing. And I'd be like, I agree with you. The cost of I make more money pro pressing. I figured because it's about a wash with the labor and the cost of the fittings. On the big jobs, it was about the same. But I go, click, click, click. It's fucking done. I turn it on.
Yep.
It's the speed to the client. My job is to finish faster. So, and the no leak ratio, like that sold it for me. I still made the most money I've ever made in my company's history was with the ProPress.
Yeah.
Hands down. And that was early on. We installed a water meter, a 4-inch water meter in a hotel. We had to shut the fucking building down. It was a big deal. We shut it down, put the flanges on, the Vanstone rotaries. I come in, I go click, click. We had the water meter with a floor jack. It was huge. We lifted it up with a car jack, put the bolts in, impacted it on. Then we pressed it, and then boom, turned the water on. There was no bypass valve. Like the guy, anyway, we had to shut the building. The guy came back. We were start to finish. We set everything up. I knew what was going to happen. I was in and out in 50 minutes. And the guy's like, basically the owners of the complexes didn't have time to complain. So boom, we were done. And the guy comes in and he goes, oh, we're literally packing up, and he sees us and we're leaving. And he's like, fuck, what happened? Is it a problem? You couldn't? And I'm like, no, we're done. The guy was legitimately mad at me, Bob. Mad because we were done so fast.
Because of the bill.
And he bitched because it was a quota job, right? So I think it was like I made $7,000 in 50 minutes. It was fucking stupid. And he was pissed. And I'm like, was I the low bidder? He goes, yeah. And I'm like, what are you whining about that? And I'm like, because I said, we're in and out. I said, we're done. Come and look. Yeah. It's a radio frequency water meter. They don't need fucking, it's like, this is the deal. And the guy was like, how'd you do it so fast? I'm like, I bought a special tool that allows me to do this job wet. I don't have to worry about the water glugging out. I didn't even, we had water in the mechanical room was flowing out the door. I'm like, cut the line, go. Yeah. We're draining down all these commercial spaces, a 4-inch line. I'm like, I don't care. We can do it wet. This tool. He was mad at me. I couldn't believe it.
The customers are always mad. Matt's saying that he's doing a 24
too fast. He's
doing a 24,000 square foot house on copper. That's unusual to do one in copper. I do remember the days, and you don't have to admit this if you don't want to, Robbie, but we used to do those big fittings, like 2-inch and above. Yep. Like we would do it in 50/50 and then cap it in 95/5.
Yes, you do. Because when you lead, as I do, lead solder is quite easy to solder with on a bigger fitting 4-inch fitting.
I don't know who else you do it. There was a moment in my life where I'm like, I got to do it the right way. Yes. And sure enough, I look like an asshole because it's a fucking sprinkler. I'm like, nope. And 50/50, rip the fucking tags off the spool.
Yes.
And just load it in there.
He would know that you're using 50/50 because he would see like that pewter color he would see the pewter color. So you'd have to sand it off and then cap it over top.
You got to cap it, man.
I know.
You got to fucking cap it.
Cap it. Because if he doesn't see a good inspector back in the day, he would know the difference between lead solder and 95.
They don't know that anymore. I can do it all day long. Nobody fucking knows.
They probably don't, right? So on the big fittings, you're pissed off. You're like, you got the Rosebud torch, the A32. It's the size of your thumb. You're like, you got 2 torches. Come on. And then you get the 50. You get the 50/50. You're like, whoop, and then you just, it's awesome. I know.
Watch it
for the little bit.
Watch it suck it in, and then pull out the 95/5 and ding, 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 ding.
So then the press fittings and then I always liked press because I hated waiting for the water. I'm impatient. So then roll grooving as well, Victolic. I've done all the connection methods. We did one building in Whistler that was like 1.5 inch fused polybutylene. I'd never seen it before. we jackhammered the floor up, and I'm like, oh, like it's the biggest poly B I've seen. It's inch and a half or inch and a quarter, and it's melted together. I'm like, I can't fix this. Like, this is gear clamps and a hammer fitting. There was one building in Whistler I saw with it, and I was like, I don't have the tool. I don't know what to do. I'm like, this is a disaster, right? Like, ugh. Yeah, it's a challenge. Is little fudge things you do on jobs that you try to get through it. You're like, this is stupid, and the guys that are like fucking, somebody that would argue and say, oh, that's horrible. I can't believe you do that. Well, they're not a company owner, and they're not getting the job done.
They've never done it. I
Never.
literally had that discussion with McCready yesterday and today when he makes some statement. I'm like, he's like, I've never done it. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? I've done it. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
Or I've done it. It does work. He's like, no, you're just a hater. Oh, okay. You're just going to dismiss it. You're just going to dismiss it because I disagree with you. And there was some fucking twat that was like, I guess we should check out because it's going to be fucking McCready and Little T. They're going to talk about the role of influencers, and so I can't imagine what an influencer talking about influencers, how they're going to change the game.
Oh yeah.
But I said it at the beginning of this. Did you know that the word influencer comes from the Greek word influenza?
Yes.
So fucking the disease. And so this guy on McCready's post is like, he's like, we need to change it from influencers to educators.
Oh Jesus.
I'm like, educators? So now, like, an educator in my mind is an academic that actually got his bachelor's, went to get his master's, got his PhD. So he spent like 12 years in school, 12 years in learning something, and you're creating fucking TikTok videos, and now you want to be called an educator.
You know what it is?
Hubris is insane.
It's a self-proclaimed messiah. That's what it is. It's like, not I'm God, but I'm an influencer. I'm like, I'm sorry, what? What? You're self-proclaimed. I'm like, the best one I see a digital creator. And I'm like, digital. Well,
that's in order to be verified, verified, they don't give you a trade. They're like, are you an entrepreneur? Are you a digital creator? Are you into fashion, beauty, fitness? I'm like, okay, so your only real option if you don't own a business is digital creator.
Digital creator.
So you're like, fucking nothing. You're nothing. It's insanity.
It's self-proclaimed.
And the fact that he was literally using religious language. He's like, we spend all this time and effort creating these reels and this content, and when these trolls and haters show up, it's like throwing your pearls before swine. I'm like, pearls before swine? Do you have any idea what the reference of that is? Like, you have no idea what you're talking about, but you are so godlike and so, your content is so valuable that it's not even worth being criticized. Don't criticize it.
I said it to Kruger. I've said it to Doug Klassen from Greenlee Construction. And I'm like, I've said it on my thing, on my page. Fuck, I love the things that people call it. On my channel, my whatever the fuck. Channel. I'm like, if Instagram stopped today, if this fucking right here, the glass I'm talking on, if it disappeared, I'd get more done. I'd probably be happier, right? I don't mind
probably.
The showcase, and I'm like, I enjoy some of the content on here, and I'm like, it's pretty cool. But otherwise, I'm like, I just fuck katoosh and away I go. Right? I'd get more done. I live my life today. I'm happy. I look at the people that they try to create an industry out of nothing and try to make something of themselves. And I'm like, and I can imagine, say in Toronto, if you're like a house repiper, that's all you do. That must get really fucking boring.
Really,
you go in, another reno, cut dry, like Kruger Construction. He goes in, there's a little bit of drywall damage. He's a glorified handyman. He's got 2 million followers and he's some fucking self-proclaimed messiah. And I'm like, it's just this ego, the inflation. And I'm like, when the phone goes for one day, I giggle. I'm like, oh, fucking, there's a problem with the phone company. I'm like, I set it down. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm going to get more done today. Instead of that,
you're not wrong. It does.
Awe feeling of the internet's down for a day. What am I gonna do? It's just, their self-worth is through a fucking boxer. like say I've been to your house, Bob. I've slept at your place. I'm like, it's fucking the connection that we have is like it's real. This glass thing that we have and the influencers trade shows, I think solidifies it a little bit, but you better have the experience. And with guys, I'm like, what's your trade tickets? What's your credentials to be here? I've got card files full of shit, and I'm like the courses I've taken, and they don't have that. And so to be some self-proclaimed influencer, for what gives you the ability to call yourself an influencer from Milwaukee because you fucking look good holding a red tool, or you're part of the club? And I'm like, it's a misnomer. No, it's a fake. It's fake. Fuck.
You gotta sell a bit of yourself to make that happen.
You do,
because you don't have any credit. Like you look at, I compared it a long time ago to fucking sports broadcasters, right?
Yes.
Like if you're watching an NFL football game, who's on the halftime show?
Yeah.
Right. 3 dudes that are Hall of Famers.
Yep.
That all have fucking rings, or all have a long list of accomplishments, and one dude that went to school for 20 years to be a broadcaster.
And
right?
you can
that
tell
sort of
he's out of place.
Wrangles them all, and he's out of place, but he's wrangling them so it doesn't go too far off the road.
And there's this little guy.
But they don't have the newest guy that just showed up that's got some cute little jingle, because nobody fucking cares.
Yeah.
So those guys aren't influencers. They have the credibility to say what they need to say, and people believe them because they have the accolades and the experience behind them. And that's that's my issue with what's happened here, is it's almost been flipped, where you got some weird gimmick, you got some weird saying, you got something that people think are cool, then all the manufacturers, and it's the manufacturer's fault.
Yeah, it is. Well,
they go after those guys.
Travis Collins is a good one like that. Travis Collins, Tools by Design. When he started going, I'm like, I don't understand who this guy is. And there's a lot of rumors, and I chew into it a bit, and he would buy all the tools, then he would masquerade lies, and then fake followers, and it just, all the bullshit kept going. And I'm like, you know what? I don't enjoy watching him. He's kind of funny. And then I'm like, how about this? Instead of me being just an asshole, unfollow. I don't want to watch him anymore. I don't want to see him anymore. And I'm like, I'm done with it. I'm trying to live my life and focus and be happy with my shit. To watch that, the Bosch, DeWalt, and all these companies care about is they want more exposure, and it's free advertising for them, basically.
It is.
You know? Mike Holmes holding up a fucking, this is the best drill I've ever used. Holy fuck. Like, these guys didn't have a little bit of street credit at the start, because Mike Holmes started as something, and then it evolved into this circus of God knows what. And then now he's in shit, and you're like, it's got to be solidified consistency with experience. And either he's taking the money and doesn't give a shit, or he's just fucked up. I don't know. Like, Mike Holmes did a lot of.
No, he's taking. Well, he's took the money and didn't give a shit.
Yeah.
He's literally like, it would be, hey Turbo, you're building a house out there. You want it Baker approved? Send me $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. You send me $5,000, and I send you a fucking little, I don't know, placard that you can stick on the door frame saying Bob Baker approved this. Da-da-da-da. Right? And the people moving into the home are like, great. Who's Bob Baker? Trust me, it's well built. Okay, I'll take your fucking word for it. We have the Brian Bomber in our area. What's this guy saying? What do you guys think of guys leaving the trade due to
trade?
Being
low.
Listen,
like, you know what, Bobby, you go first. I got my version of that with the money, and you
have to. When I started in this trade, and I get this is going to sound like an old man, but I was making $8 an hour and was delighted when I got 10.
Right? $8. Yep.
8. Yeah. So when I made it to 10, I'm like, I have fucking made it.
Yep.
The only reason there's a reason I don't charge $400 an hour, because I charge $400 an hour because I'm worth it. Right.
Yep.
Like, and people pay it. And the only way that you can become worth it is to put the time and experience and the knowledge in. And that is not an easy thing to do. So if you think you're underpaid for whatever job you're doing, then get better at it.
Yep.
Get smarter at it.
Yes.
Learn more. Offer more.
Yep.
a wider skill set. I can do this, and I can do this, and I can do this. Oh, really? Yes. I mean, take my oldest daughter for an example. When she's a dental hygienist, she went through SATE, which means she got a diploma and not a degree. So when she started in it, she was making like $25 an hour, and then she went to her place of work and say, what would be the most, what skill could I learn that would be the most advantageous to you and pay me the most? And the dentist, like, you know what we need? We need someone that can work on the braces with the whatever the dentist.
Invisalign. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We need somebody that can do that, and we need somebody to assist with the cleaning. And the courses for that are at SATE. They cost $3,000, but if you do that, we'll give you a $6 an hour raise. And
Yep.
so she beetled off evenings and weekends, got those 2 courses. She's making $32 an hour. The one with the degree is making $36 an hour, and she did it twice more until she became the head of her little department and was making as much or more than the dental hygienist after 4 years of putting in the time and the effort and learning a skill set that was valuable to the people she was working for.
You have to bring something to the table. You have to increase your net worth. I want more money. You're not going to work any faster because the employee that's, say, 5-year employee comes in and says, I want more money. Okay, why do you want more money? Because I'm better at what I do. At 5 years in, you're as fast as you are. That's it. Unless you bring something else to the table. What are you providing to me that's more valuable to make more? I'm just going to give you more money because you asked for it. You're getting more responsibility. I want you to work a little bit later. I'm going to give you more. I'm going to want more. And if you're not bringing anything to the table, if you're not increasing your skill set, I tell guys, I'm like, you know what you need to do? Put your code book by the toilet. When you're sitting taking a shit, give yourself, read the code book. I covered that fucking book, man, inside out, backwards. I'm like, this is the plumbing Bible. It's not what it says you can do, and it's what it doesn't say you can do. You've got to bring more to the table. You want more money? Everybody wants more money. I want more money. I want to charge $5,000 an hour if I could, right? If you're not providing the service to get more money, I used to be very negative towards other trades. I don't even give a shit anymore. I used to be like, that guy's an asshole. This guy does bad work. Now I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it was like, because you'd go around and you're like, how do you get $4,000 for this job? The guy's an idiot. Like, now I'm like, you hire whoever the fuck you want. I work 7 days a week with or without you. So I want to get hired for what I do for my reputation. For you, same thing. You build your brand. These employees of companies, why would it? This is a fucking good one. I don't have too much time because I have a bit of work on Sunday I have to do. Here's a fucking confusing one. Why would an employee go to AHR or go to do something like that if you're not an owner of a company? Why the fuck? You're taking your holiday time. As an owner of a company, I'm looking to make more money. What's my drive? I want more money. I want to be able to get a tool. I want to see something that I use, the glory, all that stuff. That's great. But I'm like, I am money motivated. I'm financially motivated for fucking everything I do. My whole life, time is money. My dad, industrial welders, time is money. Do something that makes you a bit better than somebody else. Not better like that, but people want to hire you because you're the guy.
I don't soften it. Like the reason I'm better than you I can say that to 10,000 people on here. I'm better than you because I know more than you.
Yeah.
I'm better than you because I have more experience than you. I charge more than you because I could walk in and, like I said before, I can
like
I can hear it, I can taste it, feel it.
What do you do when here's the problem as well, and in the region of where they're working, in say Florida where the guy's at, and God knows, pick a city in Florida, Tampa Bay. In Tampa Bay, there's 4,000 plumbers for whatever fucking reason. Well, guess what? You can't charge as much. It's supply and demand. In the area I'm in, the fucking houses are 1.52 million. Ain't nobody moving here to start a plumbing company because you're making so much money. No, I'm in here. I own my house. I've been here for years. I've solidified my position. I do what I do. I don't have any overhead. Nobody's moving in here. You'd have to charge $500 an hour to break even here to start a plumbing company today.
Yeah.
You couldn't even afford to buy the house here. So in Florida, where this guy is, the people are scabby workers, guys will drop their prices to be working. And I'm like, there's a point in your life where you have to understand, I don't turn the key on the truck for under $100 an hour because I don't make any money. I'm not working for the fucking joy of working. You're here to make money. And if people won't, you either have to move or you have to retool your work position so that you make your money. What is that? I don't know. No, that's a hard thing to do, right? So,
It's
and
fucking.
that's what he's saying, right? I'm like this guy in Florida. If there's an oversupply of tradespeople, there's fuck all you can do about that. You got to work and feed your family. If everybody starts undercutting, you're undervaluing your work. If guys are prepared to what you have,
but you'll always have that.
Storm out. You always do. You have to ride the storm out because those guys that aren't charging enough, they're going to be out of business. They fall by the wayside. Those nickel and dime guys, it depends on your competition. If you're a lower level guy and you're competing against the lower level guys, those drop off like flies. The guys that have been here for 30 years, they know how to do the work, they know how to bid the work, they know how to make money. That's why they're still in business. It's the guys that fuck that up, tax trouble, too many employees, you didn't charge enough on your fuel surcharge. There's so many facets to the business that people don't get. Like guys that have worked for me, I'm gonna fucking start my own company. I'm like, I'm like, here's how to. People are like, you're training your competition. I'm like, I'm sorry, you want to come into this world? I'm like, get a business license. I love you. Go ahead. Fuck if how many times have you covered up for your employees where you've gone in and saved the day and you're like, that would have cost me $100,000 if I didn't fucking fix this. Oh my God.
I've hired and fired. Yeah, no. I hired and fired 75 guys. Most of those, to be perfectly frank, most of those guys left mad.
Yep.
They're like, dude, you fucking, I can do this. I'm like, dude, then do it. Like, don't beak at me. And they've said the same. I've had guys that have quit me and the next week gone to my customers and said, I can do this job cheaper. And they're like, oh, can you?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, when people say that,
none of them make it. None of them.
If you don't charge a proper amount, you're going to be out of business. And that's the easiest one to say. You make so much money. I'm just trying to carve my living out of what I do, which I do, right? And I'm trying to cover my responsibilities. And if you can't meet your minimum on that, you're not charging enough. And guys are like, well, I can't get any work. There's a minimum cost to living. I don't know what it is, $85 an hour where you break even, right? And I'm like, and if you don't make that, don't turn the key on the truck. You're better off doing some housework. Mow your lawn. You gotta wait those guys out. Just because you're working doesn't mean you're making money. And that's the big mistake people make. You've got to know your worth and you have to bring that experience level up. Do you want to be known as the cheapest guy in town? I've never in my career wanted to be known as that, ever. I wanted to, the guy knows what he's doing. The responsibility of being a tradesman. I take that very personally.
Yeah. It needs to become the craftsman again, right? Where we're actually craftsmen that know what we're doing. And in this neck of the woods, the new housing game is very much I got out of that because every year or every 6 months, the GC would come to me and say, listen, this group is going to do it for $500 cheaper than you.
Take them.
And then, you'd be like, okay, okay, don't fire me. Okay. And so you do it. And then you finish that house for $500 cheaper.
Yep.
And of course there's some clawbacks because whatever, you dinged the door walking in or whatever the fuck.
Yep.
And then the next one, he's like, these guys are going to do it for $250. And finally you're like, dude, then fuck off.
Yeah, that's right.
Like, do whatever the fuck you want.
You've mopped up behind those. You've mopped up behind the nickel and dime guys too, where it's like the cheaper guy.
It's
and then
so.
And the self-reward, you're like, I'm sorry, you want me to come in and do
better.
What?
There's nothing better than walking into that house with the same people that basically threw you out because you're too expensive.
Yep, that's right.
And you're like,
I'll pay
what am I doing here?
I'll pay anything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you've insulted me. And I'm like, that's money. Yeah. I've had people give me cash where I'm like one East Indian guy, and they're, you know how they are. They rub two nickels together to get fucking a quarter. And he had thrown me out, said I ripped him off, this and that, and we replaced, anyway, did a bunch of stuff. So he has a main sewer back up in Pemberton. I go back into the job, and I'm like, okay, his name is Ravinder. And so I'm like, okay, Rav, I'm like, the job's going to be $4,000 for me to unblock your main sewer. I got to video it. I know what the problem is, but you go. And he's like, okay, how about I go get the money, you start? And I'm like, how about this, champ? Because he already insulted me. So I'm like, how about this, champ? You go get the money. As soon as you bring it, then I'll start. Sewage was raining out of the ceiling as we're talking. And the lady behind the counter is like he leaves. He fucks off to get the money. Yeah. So he comes back, gives me the cash. I start the work. And she goes, I have never seen him give someone money before the job starts. And I'm like, he goes, you got me by the short and curlies. I'm like, I looked at him and I'm like, Ravinder, I didn't fucking call you begging you to come and unblock your sewer. You're the one that called me. And I'm like, you insulted me the last time I was here. This is the work I did. This is why. This is what happened. And I'm like, there was fucking problems. There's lots of, soldering fucking was one of those. And I'm like, so you're going to pay me the money first. And I said, and the next time I come, I said, I'm going to build the relationship back up. And I went and did 4 more jobs for him. The next 3, I'm like, it's going to be $2,500. Go get the money. I'll start the work. Because I'm like, I'm not here to fucking. At the end, I was like, okay, we're back. Are we good? You trust me again? Like, fucking, we have, okay, done. I overcharged the shit out of him, and I made way more money off of him. I remember getting home, and my wife at the time was like, what the fuck took you so long? And I'm like, well, I had to swing into this hotel and do this job. She was mad at me, and she's like, that guy fucking insulted me. And I pull out the $4,000, and I'm like, here, I tried to put it in her mouth, and I'm like, well, this shut me up. Because at the end of the day, it's all about the money always. I got my pride and my ego and all that stuff, but I'd work for Satan himself if he paid me up front.
You're not wrong.
And it's cash.
And like you say, that type of reputation it's not a sitcom answer, right? Like it's not. No. You're not going to get that in a 30-minute whatever. Those scenarios take years to develop.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
And the balls to pull it off too.
Like, and
to be able to say to the
you got to be consistent.
Give me the money. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not an easy thing to do. Everybody talks a big game on this stupid thing, but in real life,
I'm the same.
Okay.
I tell people I'm the same right here as I am fucking. That. I'm like we've had some great conversations. I'm like the shit I've said to my clients. I'm like, what did you just say to me? I don't hold back on a good day. And my poker face is this. When I'm mad, you can fucking tell. But I'm a horrible card player. I snicker and people are like, oh, fuck, just fold now.
No, you're not wrong.
The fakeness I see, some stuff like when I met Travis Collins for the first time, people expected me to grab him by the throat and kick the shit out of him. I don't hate the guy. I just think
I was surprised by your reaction.
I was just it's like I was like, well, am I supposed to slap him? He hasn't insulted my wife or my children or my family. He hasn't hurt anyone I know. He's just a bit of a fucking goofball. And I'm like, I think he's in the wrong lane, and I slap him a bit, and he goes back in where he's supposed to be, and I'm like, that's it. Like, as a man, he's a fucking quirky, funny guy. I'm like, and that's it's you can do whatever you want in this world, and I'm like, absolutely, just don't push it on me. And if I think you're wrong, I'll fucking say it. And I eat my shit when I have to, and you know what? That's about all you can do in this world, man. Just be real. That's the biggest one,
Yeah, I do think lots of people are trying to find themselves in this sort of environment on where they can, what, and which is part of the issue with the whole influencer thing is you're dealing with a,
like, do people feel that need to be special? Is that why? I don't know.
That's part of it. How old are these guys? Most of them are, 30, we'll say 30, 35 and under.
Yeah. In that range, right? So,
and I
don't get.
I remember my father. I was 35 years old. I had 4 children, 5 children. Sorry. I was doing my plumbing. The plumbing business was going fantastic. Yep. It was making a couple mil. I had a little sideline business that I was heavily involved in a waste company. It was going fast. We did $28 million that year in the waste company. It was going phenomenal. And my father said to me, he's like, Bobby, you're just a little puppy. And I remember being so pissed.
Dad,
I need to do to, get some approval out of you.
Yep.
And unfortunately, 20 or 19 years later, he was absolutely right. I didn't know shit about shit.
Yep.
The stuff that happened.
Then. Yeah.
The stuff that happened after that.
Dad, than you're ever going to make in your life. And you're like, what an idiot. And you're like, you're pissed off at him. And then
I remember being.
He was right.
I'm mad about it. And I think about it now, and I'm like, you know what? He was so right. I didn't know shit about shit. And anyway,
it kicks the shit out of you, doesn't it? And that's the biggest challenge that I kind of see with life right now, with all these kids and what's coming, is it's the gloves are too soft, and the reason why is life is very, very difficult, and you know what, you're gonna get kicked in the balls, and it's gonna hurt, and it's trying to minimize and soften it doesn't seem. I don't think it works. That it's not a
No, it's
soft life,
not.
and
No.
it's just be real, and it's gonna hurt. You're better off to take it on the chin right now, right? Than, you know, because the world gets a lot more real and the older you get too, you're like you care about a lot of shit differently.
The older you get, the more the more you realize what's temporary and what's not, what matters and what
Yes.
doesn't,
Ugh.
what is
Well,
real and what isn't.
yeah.
And
And the
I don't want
trades, Instagram is just it's a smoke and mirror show, right? It's like,
it is.
you know, and we highlighted. I'm not going to show you the fuck up that I did with the guy's couch and that I dinged the guy's wall and that this guy didn't pay me. We talk about the glitz, the glamour, the money, and the fucking look. Doll sponsored me, and I got a tool bag from fucking Vito, and the scripted bullshit, and because you see it, and real people see through the fakeness of it all, and that's what it is. And it's like that truth, the truth shall set you free, and it's coming for everybody. And it's just be real, you know.
I do think that, you know, if you go into this thing, and people will say that they do, but I don't think they do. They say that they understand that Instagram is not real and that it's fake, and that, you know, that they have a life cycle in this whole fucking thing. It'll be interesting to see what happens when they really do. When that really happens. I mean, I grew up. This will age me, but Kiss was an awesome band. They didn't do arena shows. They did stadium shows, right? Like they would go and sell out a fucking stadium. And they came through Calgary here, like, I don't know, a year ago. And played at some fucking casino with like 200 seats.
Yes, that's right.
And I'm like,
they're not.
There was a moment
anymore.
These dudes were. Nothing else mattered. Women, money, fame, and fortune was all at their fingertips. And now they're playing in some dirty casino, you know, 15 minutes from my house, and, you know, probably sold 150 tickets. The point is that the influencers aren't making millions upon millions. They don't have women upon women coming after them. They're not getting the fame and fortune. As I said, it's a dinky little tiny piece of nothing. And then when it's gone, what do you have left?
They don't have a career to rely back on. That's the biggest problem. And the breadth of experience that you don't have by holding a drill, by being sponsored by these companies and all that. I can't imagine doll valves. Like I install, I don't know how many. I'm not the biggest seller in the world. That's why I'm like, I'm not your target market. I don't have 15 guys, and I'm not buying 5 million product a year. So
Turbo got into the.
The wind came and blew the thing. I'm sitting outside by my barbecue I built.
Build
the trade.
Don't buy it. That's my motto.
Experience. You can't buy experience, and that's the biggest problem. You can buy followers, you can buy fame, you can buy tools and look like you're the guy. You can't buy the experience, and to be fake with it, it comes out and matriculates. And we're the fact checkers of the trades. You know what? You think you're all that in a bag of potato chips? Let me ask you a couple questions. Who are you, God? I'm like, no, but I'm the motherfucker that's been doing it for 30 years. And not 30 years, 40-hour weeks, man. It's 30 years probably consistently at a 60-hour work week. I used to work 60. It was stupid the work I used to do. Nonstop. And, you know, Laura's on right now. And this lady saved my life. Can't say it good enough about Laura, other than she's an Edmonton fan. That's crunchy for you, but that's you guys and your shit. So
listen,
she's the one that saw
She's going to enjoy her little hockey for like 2 more weeks, and then they'll all start crying up there just like we are. And the best thing is, I don't fucking care.
Hey, people get so excited. I'm like, I want to get excited about the trade. I love plumbing. I love riddle problem solving. I enjoy working in the trade, the camaraderie, working with guys, working with other tradespeople, going towards the same goal, and making good money doing it. You know what?
I think that's what they're missing.
Too. You know,
they're missing out in, and that's where sort of I become emphatic about it. And they, you know, people either read it the wrong way or take offense to it, which is fine. Is you're wasting your time. You're wasting your time hawking product that you don't believe in, that won't be relevant. Like you say, the MX platform is not relevant anymore. I mean, it doesn't mean it's not out there, but it's not relevant anymore. I got Travis on here talking trash about Edmonton, which is good. But I installed, I have probably 20 different Trinity boilers, NTI boilers, like the very first one. And every time I film one of those things, he's like, bro, you got to sell them an upgrade. I'm like, bro, I got to fix what I installed.
Yeah, that's right. I don't want to put
and
a
I
new
get
NTI in. You guys fucked up the product at the start. And I'm like, the one hole
now he's going to be mad.
Yeah, they always do. They get the wholesalers get excited. We're the guys putting the pipe in that fails. Did you ever put in aluminum instead of cast iron drain line? You ever put that in? They made instead of cast iron,
aluminum drain line.
Yeah, they made it's in. I've only ever seen it once, and I was like, I thought they fucked up and put electrical conduit in. They made drain line in aluminum, and I thought it was cast iron, and then I'm like, what the fuck is it? Because I think I went to cut it, and I'm like, the blade all fucking galled up, and I'm like, I put ABS in, but I'm like, I don't understand. And it's an aluminum drain line. You still use MJ fittings, but aluminum pipe and aluminum fittings. Oh. It was in one complex, and I'm like, I thought they used conduit, and I was like, it was horrible. It pitted, it corroded, it was a disaster. We had to repipe the building. But that was one. Some salesman is like, it's NSD certified. You're like, go back and put it.
Well, look, what's that other shit?
Right?
That fucking Kitech pipe. Oh. I have no less than 2 million feet of that shit all over southern Alberta. I sold it like crazy.
Mm-hmm. Yep. N-Tran 2, and you're like, and then they're like, there's a problem with the pipe. You're like, oh, holy fuck. I put in 400,000 feet that I'm responsible for. I hope it lasts
millions of feet of it.
Yeah. So we all make
boxes and boxes of the fittings down there because like those little rubber fittings.
Yep.
Oh.
I don't know. What do you say to that? And then you're like, you say to the owner, just chip up your floor, and we're gonna replace all your hardwood. We're gonna basically destroy your fucking house.
Because
you put this product in that the salesman's like, this is flexible. It's so great. And you're like, that's a really easy pipe to install. Oh, and they bend over.
So much.
Yep.
And everyone, and we still work for. There's been a couple houses that have flipped hands and new owners and all the rest of that shit. But I've worked for probably 15 of the 25 that I did the installs on. And we use that ultra thin stuff. Like, it's everywhere. It's in the ceilings, it's in the walls, it's in the floor.
Yep. You're like, I own everything. And what do you say to the people? Like, it was $40,000 to do the install. Well, it's going to be $200 now because we have to destroy your house. I hope for a fire because I don't want to have to try and refit this place. Yeah, I know. I don't know, man.
Very nice people, literally friends of mine. I'm like, yeah, you're fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Bob, I'm like, I know. I'm fucked too. I don't know what to do for you. Like, we'll give you the best deal we can when we have to cut in and but then coupling it back together.
And it's not your responsibility. I didn't build the fucking car. My name isn't Ford. Well, the tire fell off. I didn't. You own that responsibility. Fuck, kill me now. Whew.
It's terrible.
Oh.
And so when I see all this, and that's, as well as I do, like, I've installed boilers that are no longer. Did you ever see the Conomatic boiler?
Yep, they're gone.
They're gone.
There's not
I have
even
4 houses that have them.
Yeah, just
replace the owner's like, hey, Bob. I'm like, I got nothing for you.
Yep.
I can sell you a new NTI if you want.
Yes.
Because that's all there is. Yep. What happened to them? I don't know. It ain't my fault. I didn't do it.
The company went bankrupt. They're gone. They don't exist. You cannot get parts for this. Can you fix it?
How many of these guys that are and I'm not wishing ill will on anybody, but how many of these manufacturers at the trade show that are selling their products, how many of those are going to last?
They're not.
And Travis is still talking shit on here. And so, Travis, I don't know what the name of it is. You guys came out with the new fucking Matrix 2.0. I was like the first dude that installed the Matrix boiler that had the boiler and the furnace like as one. And it was a huge feature the Combi that was it was a huge feature at CMPX. And
Yep.
it literally gave me heartburn because I'm like, you guys are trying that again?
Yep.
Oh, well, hopefully it works this time because the last one.
Well, did you fix your issue? Because when the companies come up and they're like, they see you and they don't recognize you, it's a new sales rep. And then the guy's like, have you tried this? And I'm like, you go into this fucking verbal, he sees you go red. And then you talk, you swear to God, you're breathing through your neck because you're so fucking mad. And you're like, you guys fucked me on this product. I put 12 of them in. You never did the product support. And now you're doing the same thing, but you put a stainless steel unit in.
Yeah.
You give me the first 5 for free and I'll put them in maybe. Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to do.
You got to recoup your money. And I mean, everybody, you know those products that have rushed to market and who gets fucked. We do.
That's what happened with the green thing, right?
And
that's what's happening with the. Everybody's rushing to be green. They're like, we got this new green product. I'm like, is it any good? Oh yeah, no, it's past all the fucking safety and standards and certifications. I don't fucking care. I've installed everything. I never in my life have installed a product that wasn't CSA certified ever.
I know.
But look at what Travis says.
Yeah.
The Matrix was well ahead of its time.
Well ahead of its time. Oh fuck, man. And then
Travis, you know I love you, but that thing is a piece of fucking shit.
And there's some boiler products where you're like, you know, that Viessmann Vitadens I put in fucking 20 years ago is still chugging. Douche.
Yeah.
You know, some of the Buderas you put in, they're just cast iron monsters. They just fucking work.
Those super hots. If you look after those super hot boilers, they will last forever.
Low efficient.
What's their criticism?
Low efficient.
30% efficiency.
That's right.
But they will fucking go.
I say that to people. I'm like, when I install, and who gives a fuck what the boiler companies will be pissed off. The Pickett, Navian, fucking Reha, all the different boiler manufacturers where they make these products. You're like, I'll put it in, but who's going to be around to service these in the next fucking 20 years? They don't make parts for them. And I say to the client, just remember, R2D2 is heating your hot water. I take the cover off and I'm like, look at this shit. And I said, this control board that's $1,000, it's probably 20 cents to make, but I'm like, see the little part that's what melted? I don't know why it went, but guess what? We're replacing everything. Like the Noritz boiler, I've got 2 Noritz boilers hanging on my wall that are showpieces in my home that are done.
LED light with LED lights on them.
I made a light out of them because they look so fucking cool. But I say to the client, I'm like, it's gonna be 10 grand for the boiler install, but we have R2D2 heating your hot water. Is it more efficient? It is, but we're gonna be replacing it in a decade, and it's gonna cost you 10 grand again. So, you know, energy efficiency is driving so much of the marketplace, but it's bullshit because you're paying it in product replacement. It's bullshit. It is.
That's my problem.
It is.
Let's talk about the green thing for a minute.
It's not green.
Everybody talks about how green they are.
It's not
I'm
green.
like, that's bullshit. Because all you're doing is trying to replace product. And if you there are companies out there like the Reliance boys that literally just show up and their service call is replace it.
Replace it. That's what they do.
We'll rent it to you, and every 5 or 6 years you'll get a new product. Is that fucking green?
How is that?
No. All that stuff ends up in the environment. So they're committed to the optics of being environmentally friendly. They don't give a shit about the outcomes. Not a shit about it.
There was the Pemberton Valley Lodge in Pemberton, where I am. The guy won some eco award. He's got a gas Lennox. Buy a gas Lennox fireplace. I fucking tell you, the gas Lennox fireplace ran 24/7, gas running on in the lobby. I spray painted it, like touched it up, this, that. And I'm like, in the summer, he's got the air conditioning running while it's middle of summer, Bob. Middle of summer. The AC pinned, and he has the fireplace on in the middle of summer for the optics of it. And yet he won some eco award. And I'm like, this is the stupidest fuck. He has this massive propane tank, and he don't give a fuck. He got some eco award. I'm like, it's a sham. This is like right here, Laura. She's like, yes, it did, and still running today. The gas fireplace is on. He's got some eco plaque on the wall that he's some guy. He has the air conditioner fighting the fireplace, and I'm like, how do you win the award? He shut it off while they were there. Come on, it's a smoke and mirror show. The influencers, these guys are glove models, but I'm like, it's a sham. And that's what Instagram, that's why you get unpalatable to it, because it's bullshit.
Yeah.
And when you call it, you're a cranky old fucker, I'm like, that's all it is.
Crusty.
Crusty.
I got let me use the adjectives that I got called
what do you got
over the weekend.
Yeah.
I got crusty, stubborn, old, relentless, intolerant,
bigot,
threatening. I didn't get bigot. Intimidating.
Bigot. Why do I get bigot?
I got called Thanos. I don't even know how to fucking take that. Is that a good thing or a bad thing?
Thanos?
I'm like, Thanos?
Like
the
Thanos.
Fucking...
Yeah, I like Thanos.
The Marvel or DC thing? I don't know.
I can't remember, but it's the dude that came in that tried to kill everybody. Yeah, I like Thanos. That's pretty good.
That's just this weekend. Just this weekend.
That's when you're winning, right?
I know.
And we do have the best knowledge. We have the best stories. You know why? Because I've crawled through the mud. I've been name it. We've done all that work. We've done it through the horror shows you've seen, the fuck ups we've created, our employees have created. We try to fix. You try to juggle family life. I'm like, it's people see my shit and they're like, why am I watching you bake? I'm like, well, because you are. And they're like, isn't this a plumbing page? I'm like, this is a whatever the fuck I want it to be page. Right? I'm like, if I want to show you cooking ribs, I'll show you cooking ribs. If I want to show you wrenching on a urinal, that's what I'll show you. It's my page. I can do whatever I want.
Cantankerous. That was another one. I got called that too. Yeah. Cantankerous.
I get lots. I get some people. So, the one that I get is mental midget. I'm like, really?
Mental midget.
Me? Oh, okay. Oh, it's funny. No kidding.
The new one I'm going to use from now on. I want everybody to start using the word ad hominem attacks. I want you to look up that word and stop doing it on Stop doing it on social media. It's terrible. The pejoratives that you guys use are like, let's up the game a bit, shall we?
Well, I think we up the game and we keep it. We're like the reality checkers of Instagram for the trades. We're just like, because we're outspoken, and we're like, that's fucking bullshit. And you just say it like it is, and you deliver it, and then people get excited about it. And I'm like, I always say to people, I'm like, assholes everybody's got one. They're like opinions, and I love how you comment. You're like, these are my thoughts, not yours. And then you get this, bleh, and you're like, what part of this is my brain and what I think? You can differ your opinion. That's called the world. You don't have to agree with me, but why do you got to get so invested? Guys get so nasty, and I'm like, that one, what was it, Pat, the one guy that went mental case. I mean, it's like, you read through, you're like, you need to find Jesus, and you need to find a life, something. You are misguided. You're like, why are you? I could mean it.
Something's wrong in your life.
Yeah, something is.
What it is.
You're angry at God knows what, but I'm like, if you get this excited on this, I can't imagine when you have a real problem in your life, because this shit isn't a real problem.
No, I'm going to say it because I am super, and he doesn't care, but I'm super disappointed in fucking McCready and his sort of, dismissal of what I thought was valid criticisms of what he was saying.
Yep.
And none of it was insulting, but it was criticism. He's like, criticism is racism. I'm like, oh, what are you talking about?
Bob,
like, you're just going to dismiss the whole thing. That's what it is, right?
Stand on, it's racist. Or you're sexist. So if you have no basis for a legitimate rebuttal argument, you're a little fucking, you are the midget. That's where it's like, if we can't have a commonality discussion, Adam Gordon, he's like, I'll go live with you. And I'm like, you know what? We have a difference of opinion, and there's a bridge where we don't seem to get that. We're not seeing the same thing. And that's it. To get nasty and come on.
He went crazy there. And I realized that was years ago, but whatever. I suspect he's learned a thing or two, and he's probably still on here. But like I've said I've used the model in my own life, and I suspect you have too. If you're so disrespectful to me, then you just lose access to who I am and to whatever world I'm part of. And I mean that's not a threat, and it doesn't mean you're missing out on life or that there's some great punishment associated with that.
Well,
and you just
lose it, right?
like you're no longer part of the world. what
So
did I say to him to call me a race? Oh, Gary put out a thing that was like, oh, that which he doesn't have any background, and he basically clipped it from some article that uh, that we need to offer employees skin in the game. And I'm like, dude, that's such like what? It's such bullshit. If you're gonna, what are you gonna offer them? Stock options? If you offer them stock options, then you have to go and become a public company almost, and your reporting and your accounting of that is incredibly expensive. And if you're not doing it on time and properly, you open yourself up as the owner to incredible fines.
oh
If
yes,
you
you do.
offer the profit sharing thing, then no matter you can offer that to anybody.
Hold on.
Nobody. No.
I'll jump in on this one. Because guys, I've heard this over the years, and I got a pretty good answer to this. It literally, it's like when you drop the mic, it's that. I'm like, okay, you want a profit share? Absolutely, I'll fucking do it. I'll show you the projections. Here's the problem with that. When I win,
I know what you're gonna say. Go.
you got your hand out.
Yeah.
When I lose,
When you lose, what
it,
happens when I lose money?
done. They never
No.
do.
No.
I feel so
No.
bad. I've had guys give me time. Rael is good for that. When he make a mistake, he's like, I'll do the next job. I'll give you 6 hours for free because I feel bad about it. And I'm like, you feel bad enough to pay for it? Never do.
No.
Rail is good compensatory with time, but otherwise, staff, they don't give a shit. That's the problem with profit share. You want the money when I win, and when I lose, do you still win? I still pay your hourly wage. So it doesn't work.
No.
Right? It's a piss off. So anyway, I got to clip it short, Bob. I do have a bunch of work I got to get done. So very enjoyable. We need to do it again. Let's do another one of these. I enjoy these. Sunday's a great day to do it. It's your son's birthday, so happy birthday, Pete. Right? That's fantastic.
It is.
Yep. So 2 hours, we did pretty good.
That's
Ish.
pretty good.
I know,
Not bad.
Not bad.
I don't think
we didn't cover too much controversial shit. Like it could have been a lot worse. I'm sitting outside in a beautiful day. That's probably why I'm in a pretty good mood. You catch me in the bad mood the other day, and it's going to be like, you know, why are you pissed off today? I'm like, I just feel like attacking some people today.
Well, we'll talk offline. We should do it like once a month or something like that.
Yeah. I think so. And it's one of those things. It's a couple hours, real chat. We'll chew into some of the nuts and bolts. It happened a little bit. Some of the business chat, what we charge, how we charge, all that stuff. They work sort of when people want to know money. It doesn't work in Florida because like where I am, your demographic, mine's a little different. So the trades are a little different when you move around. That's the hard part of that. But you know, we'll see how that goes around. So
it's no different than the codes, right? Like every jurisdiction has a different code.
It is.
Every jurisdiction has a different.
It's crazy, right? So yeah. Anyway, like say, and connecting with guys, it's a phenomenal platform when you do. I meet guys like Travis, stuff like that. We go out for dinner. It's like, hey, I'm going to be in Calgary. You guys want to come have coffee? I'm like, my mom has dementia. I'm going to probably go see. It's probably the last time I'm going to see her. I'm going to zip out while she's still lucid, but she's starting to slip a little. So she doesn't know when my birthday is, and she doesn't remember talking to me. And I'm like, so I'm having a hard time with this. This is personal shit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be zipping across the country. I'm driving, and it's going to be end of May, start of June sometime. So I'll be zipping across, right? So I'll stop in to see you, Bob, for sure. We'll do a live one. We'll do it real time.
We'll do it live and live.
Double live. We'll be beside each other, right? So I'll be in the Baker Barn. So I'll tee that up with you, and we'll do a live then. It'll work around that timeline. Yep. So
awesome.
Life. Yeah, man.
Wonderful.
Good coverage.
Life. It's wonderful.
Do we get the sponsors
Everybody.
in? Pace Chemicals, DeWalt.
Like I said, Central Therm.
Shouldn't I have a tool?
I got your swag. But I can't buy your product because you don't have it in fucking town. So there
Bob
it is.
struggles with that. I'll mention DeWalt one more time. We got to get the sponsors, and you're going to cover it. I love it. I'm not holding a DeWalt saw, but yeah. Anyway, stuff like that's cute. So anyway,
so much fun.
I appreciate everybody on, and repost to Bob, and I'll pick it up too. We'll get much crunchier next time, so we'll just give it a little. So anyway, boys, peace out. Back to work. I go.
Later.
Man, appreciate it.
Bye for now. KCS told me it misses the COVID rants. COVID, as we've all learned, people, COVID was an absolute sham. If you have to unfollow me for that, then please do. But it turned out the whole thing was a hoax and unnecessary, and the government overstepped their bounds. And the lesson from that is it should never, ever, ever happen again. Hopefully, we learned something from that. And I think I'm out of here. Like he said, I got a birthday to attend to. I got a brisket on the barbecue, and everybody, it's been wonderful. Yeah, I'll put out a thing for next Saturday. I honestly don't remember the time anymore for Gordbot, but I'll dig into that and we'll get that out and fire that up next week. Everybody have an excellent